Good morning. Thanks for joining me. We are in Tintagel and we are just about to go check out Tintagel Castle. Now, Tintagel Castle has connections with the Arthurian legends. There's a beautiful gallows sculpture on the head, which we'll cross the bridge, go over and check that out. And also we're going to go to see Merlin's cave. So this whole area, thanks to Geoffrey of Monmouth, has a lot of connections with the Arthurian legends around the 12th century. So we are on the hunt for King Arthur today. So while this Tintagel Castle has ties to history with Arthur, it's actually been predominantly used between the 5th and the 7th century as a port of trade for the Mediterranean. It is also the reason Geoffrey of Monmouth listed this was the birthplace of King Arthur, listed in his History of Kings of Great Britain. Now, historically speaking, it was Richard, Earl of Cornwall, who actually built the castle here. So what we're looking at here is the upper courtyard and the sea cliff to the right, just over here, actually collapsed soon after it was built into the sea. The new wall that was then built also included tulip trees that projected over the cliff, suggesting that this either housed the castle garrison or guests. Well, it seems like a bit of a windy, scary spot to stop using the bathroom. So this is actually my only pricey stop on this trip, and I just had to visit it just purely because of the connotations with King Arthur. It's being that King Arthur and Merlin are some of my favourite legends, we had to stop here. So it's $14.50 for an adult, and we'll see if it's worth it. Crossing over a footbridge to get to the main island over here. It's a very recent addition, and man, the wind is howling through here. But you can just see behind me where the cliff face fell away, and just how extreme and sheer that drop would have been. So all that work for nothing, eh? Alright, so what you're seeing behind me would have been the Great Hall, food prep rooms, potentially guest accommodations. And in 1242, Prince David, which was the nephew of the Earl of Cornwall, who was one of the wealthiest and most influential men in Europe, came to visit because he was having a nervous illness that had to do with the fact that the King Henry, Richard's brother, had invaded his lands in North Wales. So what we're seeing below us right here is where the harbour would have been when ships came into port to deliver goods here. Now, this was one of the bigger ports on the western UK, which was not called Tintagel at the time, and would have had up to about 100 stores, homes and other buildings here. So being that these were dangerous waters and very difficult to navigate, captains of ships that were not from here would hire local pilots to bring their ships into the port safely, and especially in rough waters. But you can see why it was used as a medieval port and how well protected it is by the natural headlands. Alright, hopefully you guys can hear me with the wind, but what you see behind me is the remnants of several small rectangular buildings that date to the Dark Ages, the 5th and 6th century. Now, it was called this because it was after the Romans left Britain. There was a time of confusion, and there are very few historical records of that time. One of these buildings actually has a circular oven in it that we used to dry out cereals to preserve over the winter so they didn't spoil. But apparently this was like one of the largest settlements in the area. It's quite amazing due to its very exposed location. There doesn't. Oh, it's very slippery. It's very slippery through here. Well, there's no information on exactly what this tunnel was used for. Now, it was either a tunnel from the lower reaches into the upper reaches, or potentially even a sewer, although I don't think they. As I said, I don't think they existed at that time. It's definitely very blowy up here. The other side, much better protected from the Atlantic winds, but we're just coming to basically our only run-in with Arthur on Tintagel Island in the castle, and it's called the gallows sculpture. Well, we found King Arthur. He's looking very stately, serene, very royal, very not what we're dealing with right now in politics. We need a new King Arthur. So what you guys see behind me is the Chapel of St. Helena, a very little known saint. But it said in 1350 the priest who lived here was paid 50 shillings a month by the Duke of Cornwall to say a prayer every day, or say mass every day, for the Duke, who was also known as the Black Prince, but never actually visited this place. So the priest was pretty fed up of living, out here. It was wintry, it was cold, and he vowed to never live another winter. So he basically quit. The only person he had out here for company was the constable, and within a month he was replaced. But this chapel actually predates the castle that was here at Tintagel. Alright, so we've checked out the castle. Now we're dropping down the really steep steps to Exhibition Beach and Merlin's Cave. And it is quite the ascent. Alright, currently because of the high tide we were unable to get to Merlin's Cave, but that's what you see behind us right here, just below the castle of Tintagel, which is where we just came from. Now, whether I think this is worth £14.50, it's iffy, but it was worth it to me just because of what it is. However, I think it is a little pricey for just walking around some ruins. It isn't super expensive, but if you're into King Arthur or the history of castles, then definitely check it out. Alright, so I think we're done here. I actually think I'm going to come back later and check out Merlin's Cave at low tide. We've got about 6 hours before that happens, so definitely think it's worth it. Alright, so we're back. The tide's gotten out enough, and we're gonna go check out Merlin's Cave. So do you think anything magic's gonna happen today? It'd be cool if it would. Totally believe in magic. But then I do like fantasy, Middle-earth, Narnia. Oh wow. Oh my gosh, this is way more than I expected. And this isn't really just a cave, this is like a whole tunnel. So this is ever so slightly nuts. It's a full-on tunnel. And while the sea is really low out there, it's still crazy on this end. It's like almost taller than me, but by the time it hits the end of the tunnel, it's not. I want to go, I'll show you. It's just like, oh my god, the light is absolutely stunning. absolutely crazy to me is this place was absolutely full of raging water 3 hours ago. This is nuts, but it's absolutely incredibly beautiful. Wow. God, this is definitely worth your time to come see. Make sure you come before low tide. So now that we're down here, tide's out, we're also getting to see this beautiful waterfall a little bit more up close and in person, as we get. And of course we have to watch the ocean coming in. Almost got wet again today. Alright guys, that about does it for our hunt for King Arthur. Tintagel Castle, Merlin's Cave. I hope you guys enjoyed it as much as I did. I found that cave down there to be one of the most awe-inspiring places I have ever been, and completely understand why it is so legendary. So I hope you enjoyed this whole thing as much as I did. I really appreciate you guys coming along, and thanks for watching.